Shalom. What is popping with you today? God is good. My name is Taylor Martin, aka Sacred Music Tribe, and I just wanted to give you guys my personal experience with COVID brain fog. So first, I'm gonna let some medical professionals talk, and then also somebody else's personal anecdote, and then I'm gonna give my personal experience on what I'm dealing with since I had this since October. I've been dealing with COVID brain fog since October. So here, let me let you guys see some other clips that I found. And there's a lot of them out there. This is definitely a real thing. It can be very frustrating when people, even medical professionals, will be very dismissive of it. I get that it's something new, but
work most of the time, and I can't describe it any better than that. Like, the things I used to love doing, I can't do anymore because I don't remember how. I so badly want to be who I was pre-COVID, and I tried to be that person, and it's just not there.
Rebecca Meyer is one of thousands of coronavirus survivors who are plagued with long-term cognitive health issues associated with COVID-19.
What's really concerning is the vast spectrum of symptoms that fluctuate over time, even neurological and psychological effects.
The severity of these issues and how long they last is still unclear, but that's starting to change. New research shows that the coronavirus may have more wide-ranging effects on the brain than previously thought.
We know that it affects the brain because of some of the symptoms that the patients are reporting. They're reporting memory issues, or they're reporting forgetfulness, they're reporting some brain fog, they're reporting some anxiety, some depression.
Doctors say some patients are also experiencing inattention and symptoms that resemble chronic fatigue syndrome, and that many are reporting them months after initially getting sick.
Patients that oftentimes are in their 20s, 30s, 40s never had these symptoms before, or if they did, they were mild.
This isn't the first time researchers have seen this. Other viral outbreaks like SARS, MERS, Ebola, H1N1, and the Spanish flu have also caused long-term symptoms related to the nervous system.
We know that from SARS, there were long-term cognitive changes. There are 50 or 100 patients that were able to be followed up, and we saw long-term neuropsychiatric changes, changes in levels of post-exertional fatigue, levels of depression and anxiety, levels of ability to go back to work.
Long-term COVID-19 research is still in its early stages. And right now, scientists still aren't sure how the coronavirus affects neurological functioning. In certain infections, viruses can actually enter the brain. If the brain's immune system reacts, that can lead to swelling, also known as encephalitis. While this can happen with the coronavirus, researchers say it's very rare. Instead, it's more likely that the virus does its damage through an overactive immune response throughout the body. This can also lead to inflammation, which can harm neurons, cells that are essential to cognitive functioning. Here's a closer look at how that happens. The virus that causes COVID-19 usually enters the body through the nose, mouth, or eyes. From there, it can infect the respiratory system, traveling down the trachea to the lungs where it can enter the bloodstream. To fight off this infection, the body sends a flood of immune system cells and molecules known as cytokines. These cause inflammation, which can make it easier for blood to form clots. When these clots build up, they can prevent oxygen from reaching vital organs, including the brain, which can cause cells to die. In the most severe cases, this can lead to strokes. But it's not just the lack of oxygen that can cause damage. Inflammation can also harm the protective barrier that shields the brain, making the organ more vulnerable.
The brain is protected by something we call the blood-brain barrier. And the blood-brain barrier is not really a physical barrier, but it's a biochemical barrier, and it allows certain things to go in. Cells can go in and out, certain nutrients can go in and out.
The blood-brain barrier does a good job at preventing toxins and pathogens from entering the brain. But new research shows that the coronavirus can infect and disrupt the cells that line the barrier walls. This is called the endothelium. This disruption causes the body's immune system to kick further into overdrive, leading to inflammation in the brain.
Imagine a road that is paved by endothelial cells, and along that road you have immune cells like cars that are rolling along that road. And if a virus or something comes along and destroys that road, the lining, the endothelial cells, and it becomes rough and difficult to ride along, and the immune cells now start bumping along, they become activated and they now start producing all sorts of free radicals and inflammatory factors that repair.
People out here who are dealing with COVID brain fog, if you just Google COVID brain fog, you will read a lot of accounts that are like mine, very similar. A lot of them are very similar like mine. So when my whole family got COVID in October, I kind of was in a slumber for like 7 days. And then when I woke up, it felt like my right brain was paralyzed. I had a numb sensation all in my brain. And I'm a creative type of person. I spend a lot of my time making music, Christian music videos. I've always been that way, a creative type of person. And I didn't really even know what was going on with my brain. I just knew I felt dumber. I felt like my IQ was significantly reduced. I felt like I wasn't really here. My emotional connection to things, it wasn't firing. Like anything, thinking about God, thinking about myself, thinking about my wife, thinking about anything. The connection was lost. It's like I was out of space. And this isn't your general brain fog that wasn't before COVID. This is something that happens from COVID to like, they say like 10% of people or something. Felt like I was, this is what I would imagine dementia to be like. Alzheimer's to be like. Like I said, it felt like I was mentally handicapped, mentally retarded, and it still comes back and flares up. It flares up, and at times I'll be feeling, I'll feel it again. It'll come on really strong sometimes. I got a brain scan the other day, and they just did a major scan to see if there was, just to see if there's anything broken, like bones wise, or like major bleeding. And there was nothing, or any tumors or anything. There was nothing like that. So I have another appointment coming up on the 6th. We're gonna look a little fine tuner, a finer tune. But yeah, it's like my whole mental experience was greatly reduced. It's like I went from HD thinking and fine communication skills to like reduced. So I've been dealing with this since October. So obviously I've learned how to cope with it. I've learned how to deal with it to the best of my ability, right? So I'm not always walking around trying to play the victim or just trying to say, I have COVID brain fog. I have COVID brain fog. Of course I pray for myself. I try to eat a little bit more healthy. I'm taking a lot of vitamins and minerals to try to get my brain right. It is not a joke. It is very real. It can be offensive. Obviously you got to forgive those people and not try to take it personal. But when people just try to act like it's all in your head, because it is in our head, but not the way you're thinking. It's not just a thoughts thing. There's something physically happening to the brain. And so, yeah, I mean, it can be very scary. Felt like my personality even changed. A lot of things that I used to not do, I started to give into. And I'm not saying anything like, using drugs or alcohol or cheating on my wife, anything crazy like that. But, it just felt like the place where my brain was at, and it was brought down to like a less fine version by a big shot. So I hope I'm explaining this correctly. But yeah, it is definitely not a joke. It is definitely real. Sometimes all I could do in my daily life is just look down because I get overwhelmed so easily sometimes. I'll get aggressive easier. I'll deal with, mood swings a lot more. So yeah, I don't know what the devil tried to do to me. Try to shut me down, try to make me forget God. This is the place where like reasoning happens too, in my right brain, in your right brain. And so maybe that's the place where like your thoughts about like reasoning, like, deep thoughts come from and all that. But I'm never gonna stop fighting. I hope this goes away. If you pray and you want to pray for me, really appreciate that. Sometimes I could watch on videos and be like, it doesn't look like there's anything going on, but living it, experiencing it, feeling that disconnection, you know, and I didn't know it was called COVID brain fog. You know what I mean? I didn't know it was called COVID brain fog. I started to research, what am I feeling? What is this feeling with my brain? Why am I so spacey? Why is this? Why is that? After I had COVID, and I started reading all these reports of all these people going through it. So it is definitely real. Yeah, it's not all in my head. I'm not playing the victim and just trying to wear it as an excuse not to perform at a higher function. I want to perform at the level that I'm supposed to be at. I'm working on an album. I'm a husband. I have 3 kids. You know, I have a job. I don't want to be you know, a lower version of myself. I want to be as best as I can be. You know what I mean? So one thing this also has taught me to look into is like practical help. Like, you know, people might call it personal development or self-help. And it does have its place in the kingdom of God. You know, like 3 John 1:2. He says, I pray that you prosper in all good things, even as your soul prospers. And soul is widely accepted as the mind. So we're supposed to prosper in the mind, the will, okay, it's like our choice and our you know, commitment and all that, and our emotions, you know, being in control of ourselves. And so when I say self-help, I mean learning things like write stuff down. That's a good way to get stuff done. Plan. That's a good way to get stuff done. That's even in the Bible. It says number your days, right? Write down your vision. Make it plain that anybody who walks past may understand what it says, and though it may tarry, you know, it'll come to pass. You know, so it's practical things that I'm becoming more appreciative of in this time when I'm moving at a slower pace. I'm doing what I've been doing, just almost like at a slower pace. Like I have to, you know, relax and kind of chill and take it moment by moment. It's almost like a challenge for like social skills sometimes a little bit. But God's good. You know, I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna play the victim. I'm not gonna speak death on myself. I'm gonna speak life on myself. This is just an awareness video because this thing is really, really real. And it's a real struggle, man. But you know what? God overcame the world. Man, we have victory over death. We have victory over all things.